Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the slideshow I just made. Sure, I do need to check to make sure it doesn't get hit with any copyright infringement, depending on what music is in it. But I thought because of the G.I. Joe Transformers crossover movie in the works, I figured I'd go back to some of my old YouTube routes back in the old days. And to be clear, I used to have a different account. I mean, right after this first movie, I was so blown away and astounded by so much of the VFX that was used to bring the characters to life. And heck, I was even so even more hyped to seeing the second movie, which I found was great. And moving on, I anticipated seeing the third film. And 3 years after that, number 4. And last of all, number 5. You might say it was either right after the hype from the first movie. I was so eager to hear, and I was so completely into speculating on what voice actors and what characters are going to be in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. After that, after being so happily thrilled from all the action and all the characters in it, I got to work right away on speculating on what characters would appear next in Transformers Dark of the Moon. I was hoping Michael Bay would go with the aerial bots and start bringing more characters from the original G1 lore into the live-action canon, but sadly, when it comes to budgeting on movie development and what story plot they like to go, well, you can't always get what you want. Yeah. But after that, I continued posting videos of voice cast speculation, and so far at least one character from my videos was able to make it to the big screen for Age of Extinction, and that was Hound. Even if he was taking the form of Bulkhead in the Bayverse films. Last of all was the last night, and boy, I can't remember if I did any videos to speculate on which characters he'll be bringing in, but wow, reckless but interesting. Anyway, it's been 17 years. Anyway, folks, it's been 17 years since the original movie, live-action film by Michael Bay, came out in theaters, and man, was I so hooked up into it. Sure, much of it was human heavy, and it was much of a mystery-solving genre. And there was some embarrassing comedies, but it was pretty good so by far. Next one I really loved, Revenge of the Fallen. It's currently one of my favorites in the Bayverse franchise. And man, oh man, the VFX in the movie were awesome, off the chain. Part of the glory days of Hollywood movies in the 2000s era, just before the shift started to take precedence in the 2010s. And I was so thrilled. And next up is Dark of the Moon. I was so eager to see it. And while I was completely bought into Michael Bay's deceptive marketing, as you will, of Shockwave being main villain, man, did the graphic novels really give the spoilers away big time, as well as learning that the actual big bad main villain of the film was Sentinel Prime. It was irritating, but still fun to watch. Much better to watch than that, fan-baiting Iron Man 3 film, which I was such a fool to try to lead the campaign on bringing the first trailer out online through Facebook. My God. I feel that Michael Bay and Marvel Studios were really focused more on catching up to Christopher Nolan on his first Batman movie because of the theatrical plot twist revolving around Ra's al Ghul and his identity. Then we come to Age of Extinction. the first of the live-action Transformers films to feature less Decepticons and more focus on the Autobots dealing with corrupt CIA agents that are part of an organization called Cemetery Wind, along with the bounty hunter called Lockdown, who I knew about since the animated 2008 series Transformers Animated. And this film, it finally features the Dinobots. It finally features the Dinobots. Sure, it was rough and it was kind of dark, but it was better and more mature to watch. Because I'm sure Bay was just trying to make up to folks who felt kind of annoyed by Shia LaBeouf's and all the comedy that was in the third film. But then, because of the critics' score and how big a struggle director Michael Bay was in, Transformers: The Last Night was his last Transformers movie to direct. Man, it was quite awesome, but gosh, man, great cast and characters and stuff, but wow. Trying to mix all the comedy and all the tragedy and the dark toned elements of the movies into one. Wow. He really overdid it. Yeah, I could see why Tyrone Magnus found the comedy in this film so atrocious. Such rude dialogue and stuff. Man. Kind of crazy. Still, it was fun to watch. Just that the idea of making Unicron Planet Earth was way too over the top insane. And I could see why Paramount had to immediately start doing the Bumblebee live action prequel right away, which is actually a reboot to this film franchise. And now, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the opening in Bumblebee and much of it because it was precisely set in the very time period where we get to see the Autobots in their original G1 incarnations. And lastly, we come to the recent Transformers movie that came out last year, Rise of the Beast, featuring Optimus Prime and Optimus Primal. Different cast of characters and different human cast. Sure, it was underwhelming for various reasons, mainly because it was people who directed this film were playing it too safe when they decided to delay this thing from 2022 of the summer to summer of last year. Still, at least they didn't rush it like the folks over at Warner Brothers did with Joss Whedon's take on Justice League. And I wouldn't go campaign, and I simply wouldn't want to waste my time campaigning for an immediate release of its director's cut, especially when they got other things going on, as well as Paramount having its own financial struggles after Shari Redstone had the company remerge with Viacom and CBS News, as well as having JJ create a disastrous trio of Star Trek movies that have really rattled and scarred the company on its earnings. Anyway, I just hope this crossover that Paramount's developing is not so late that if it does feature 6 Autobots and 6 G.I. Joes, it should at least feature 6 Decepticons and 6 Cobra members, as I've shown in the slideshow for you guys. And that they try not to get too childish and cartoonish with it, otherwise it wouldn't just do some damage to the Transformers brand, but it could also do even more damage to Paramount and the studio and put it into much deeper and harsher position of financial debt than it is right now. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, so be sure to click the like and subscribe buttons below it. Feel free to leave your comments in the live stream chats if you can, because I might have to keep this video up for as long as I can. If I am to go over these things and hear some responses from my fellow YouTubers out there, including my dualies and some of my fellow renegades out in the East and the West and in Western Europe. Boy, Michael Bay's movies were very much the last of the films that we know from the glory days, just before the shift in the Hollywood studios leadership and the decline in quality in various ways. Boy, and I would love for Zack Snyder to direct one, if it means restoring the brand back to its former glory since Michael Bay's time. Wow. And I hope he does too, because Peter Cullen, so iconic for voicing Optimus Prime since the very first cartoon in 1984. I'm not sure how much longer he can hold out. But God may have mercy on us all, and pray that he stays strong. And he will always be the #1 voice of Optimus Prime for all generations. Yeah. Wow. Man, oh man. Such great quality detail. Man, so epic and so amazing and marvelous. You'll never even get to see this kind of high quality, advanced, with such great quality of VFX for all these years to come. Surely. Sure, people are just going to go complain that it's all dirty and greedy, but really, it helps make the effects look more realistic, just like we saw from Zack Snyder's cut of the Justice League movie. Wow. Man. Yeah, I tell you, even Michael Bay himself doesn't feel confident about Paramount Studios moving forward with a live-action crossover between G.I. Joe and Transformers, because people who wrote and directed the movies for the first two that were in 2009 and 2013 clearly did not understand the lore and the nature of the characters well. And it kind of weirded folks out. I mean, with the idea of making Duke's love interest the Baroness of Cobra. Hey, and so much of the humor, my God. Embarrassing. Still, I do love the second one, even though it was messed up and loose cannonish, but still, I give the acting in that movie a lot more credit, because that's exactly why it did better the box office than the first. But sadly, the G.I. Joe franchise died on the day G.I. Joe Retaliation was released in theaters, mainly because of its failed box office performance. But luckily, folks, Transformers IP had much larger fan base than the G.I. Joe because of how festive and creative all the idea of having robots transform into cars, trucks, boats, ships, aircraft, technological objects, etc. Yeah, it's real festive. Way more creativity and wonders within this IP, even though it didn't properly follow exactly everything from the first Transformers G1 series. It's still a great memory to throw ourselves back to. Yeah, and Age of Extinction was a much darker movie than Dark of the Moon, as I can tell. Yeah. Still some comedy, but wow. I see why Tyrone Magnus didn't feel that engaged with this one. And yeah, last night, the movie I see represents the very last of great VFX movies we've ever seen, and which probably won't get to see in a long time. I know, guys. Quality in the movies and entertainment these days is starting to go down. Even if you're trying to make it look cleaner, still it doesn't make the movie as real as the originals. Well, that's all I got for today, folks. Be sure to hit like and subscribe and leave a comment in the comment section below the video. Rally to me, assemble and rise up here at the Avengers Rising channel. Take care, guys. The Avengers Rising is out.